David always believed hard work would earn respect. But when CEO Mr. Harrison laughed and told the janitor's daughter Sofia to fix the deadly computer virus just for fun, no one expected what happened next. Sofia stepped forward quietly, her fingers steady despite the panic around her. What the CEO didn't know about her family's secret past changed everything in seconds. This wasn't just a simple virus removal. It was a moment that saved an entire city and rewrote their future forever. Before we start, like this video and comment where you're watching from. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories like this one. Now let's begin this incredible journey. David always believed that dedication and persistence were the only things needed to succeed in the corporate world. Growing up in a working-class family in Detroit, he had learned early that life rewarded those who fought for their place. His mentor had always been Mr. Rivera, the janitor at the massive TechFlow Industries manufacturing plant, though David never imagined that this humble man held secrets that could change everything. Sofia, the janitor's daughter, was just like David in many ways. Quiet, observant, and full of hidden depths. She had grown up watching her father work late nights at the factory, but what no one knew was that she had also grown up learning to read code the way most kids learn to read books. From the age of 8, Sofia would sit beside her father in their small apartment kitchen, watching him debug complex algorithms on an old laptop he had salvaged from the factory's discarded equipment. While other children played video games, Sofia was learning about binary systems, encryption protocols, and the beautiful logic that governed digital worlds. Her father would patiently explain how every line of code was like a sentence in a story, and how understanding the narrative flow could reveal both the author's intentions and their vulnerabilities. Yet despite this extraordinary education, no one expected her to become the hero of the most dangerous day in the company's history. One chaotic morning at the TechFlow Industries complex where David worked as assistant to CEO Mr. Harrison, digital disaster struck without warning. A sophisticated cyber attack had infiltrated their entire network system, and every screen in the facility displayed the same terrifying message: system compromised. All data encrypted. Pay ransom or lose everything. The virus wasn't just affecting their production databases, it had somehow connected to the city's electrical grid through their smart factory systems, threatening to plunge half of Detroit into complete darkness. Traffic lights throughout the downtown area were already flickering intermittently, and the city's emergency services were reporting cascading power failures across residential neighborhoods. The municipal water treatment facility had issued warnings about potential system shutdowns, and the Detroit Metropolitan Airport was considering emergency protocols as their air traffic control systems showed signs of instability. The CEO was beyond panic. Shareholders were already threatening lawsuits. The city mayor's office was demanding immediate answers, and federal cybersecurity agencies were mobilizing response teams to contain what appeared to be an attack on critical infrastructure. The company's entire cybersecurity team was frantically typing at their keyboards, their faces pale with desperation. Lines of incomprehensible code scrolled across multiple monitors as they tried every standard protocol they knew. The head of IT security, Dr. Matthews, was shouting orders while sweat dripped from his forehead. "This isn't like any virus we've seen before," he announced grimly. "The encryption is military grade and it's learning from our attempts to stop it. Every time we try to break through one layer, it creates 2 more barriers." When Mr. Harrison spotted Sofia quietly standing near the emergency response area, observing the chaos with an unusual calmness, he felt his frustration boil over. In a moment of desperate sarcasm, he gestured toward the wall of failing computers and called out loud enough for everyone to hear, "Hey, janitor's daughter. You're always hanging around here watching everything. Why don't you give fixing this computer virus a try? Maybe you can solve what our $1 million cybersecurity team can't." The entire emergency response room fell silent except for the ominous beeping of warning alarms. Everyone knew Sofia was the janitor's daughter, and the idea that she could solve a crisis that was stumping PhD-level security experts seemed absurd. The cybersecurity specialists exchanged glances that mixed exhaustion with bitter amusement. Some employees whispered among themselves, others rolled their eyes. Sofia felt dozens of pairs of eyes on her, some mocking, others filled with the kind of pity reserved for someone about to embarrass themselves publicly. But Sofia didn't flinch. She had spent countless hours watching her father work on these very systems. though no one knew that Mr. Rivera had been teaching her far more than janitorial duties. She approached the main security console with steady determination, her mind already analyzing the patterns she could see in the attack code. What the room full of experts saw as chaos, Sofia recognized as something familiar, something that reminded her of the late-night coding sessions she'd shared with her father since she was 12 years old. Those memories flooded back to her now. Winter evenings when her father would show her how cyber attackers thought, how they crafted their digital weapons, and most importantly, how every malicious program contained the seeds of its own destruction. "Remember, Mija," he would say in their kitchen laboratory, "every hacker leaves a signature in their code like a fingerprint. Learn to read those signatures and you can predict their next move." Sofia had spent years studying not just defensive programming, but the psychology of cyber warfare itself. The room grew deadly quiet as Sofia sat down at the primary terminal. CO Harrison's smirk was beginning to fade as he watched her fingers move across the keyboard with unexpected confidence. The cybersecurity team stopped their own frantic typing to watch this unprecedented moment unfold. David found himself holding his breath, somehow sensing that something extraordinary was about to happen. Sofia began by pulling up the virus's core code structure, her eyes scanning the malicious algorithms with the focus of a detective examining crime scene evidence. While the security experts had been trying to fight the virus with conventional defensive software, Sofia was reading the actual language of the attack, the binary poetry that revealed the hacker's methodology and weaknesses. She could see patterns in the code that reminded her of techniques her father had shown her, techniques that weren't taught in any university cybersecurity program. "This isn't random," Sofia said quietly, speaking to herself but loud enough for others to hear. "The virus is using a recursive encryption method, but it's built on an old framework. Someone modified legacy code from the early 2000s. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she began typing lines of countercode with lightning speed. The security team leaned in closer, amazed by the complexity of what she was creating in real time. For 30 intense minutes, Sofia worked in complete silence while the fate of both the company and the city's power grid hung in the balance. She wasn't just running antivirus software. She was writing her own sophisticated program designed to exploit the exact weaknesses she had identified in the attacker's code. Her fingers moved across the keyboard with the precision of a concert pianist, each keystroke deliberate and purposeful. As she worked, she narrated her process quietly to herself. Identify the recursive loop, isolate the encryption key generation, trace the payload delivery mechanism. The cybersecurity team gathered closer, watching her create something they had never seen before. A real-time adaptive defense system that could learn from the virus's behavior and evolve countermeasures faster than the attack could adapt. The virus had been designed to evolve and adapt, but Sofia's solution was engineered to evolve faster, turning the attacker's own sophisticated methodology against itself. The room watched in stunned amazement as Sofia's program began systematically dismantling the virus layer by layer. Each barrier that the malicious code had created was methodically destroyed and replaced with her own protective protocols. The threatening message on the screens began to flicker and distort as her counterattack gained momentum. Then, at exactly 11:47 a.m., every screen in the facility flashed green simultaneously. The virus was completely eliminated, the encrypted data was restored, and the connection to the city's electrical grid was secured. The factory's production systems hummed back to life, and throughout half of Detroit, lights that had been flickering uncertainly now burned steady and bright. The emergency response room erupted in cheers and applause, but CO Harrison looked absolutely stunned. Dr. Matthews, the head of cybersecurity, was staring at Sofia's code with his mouth hanging open. "This is impossible," he whispered. "She just wrote a countervirus program that's more sophisticated than anything our team could create with weeks of preparation. Where did a janitor's daughter learn advanced cybersecurity techniques that aren't even taught at MIT?" Sofia turned around in her chair with the same quiet confidence she had shown throughout the crisis. "My father taught me," she said simply. But as those words settled over the room, David realized that this answer only deepened the mystery. How could a janitor know cybersecurity techniques that surpassed those of PhD-level experts? The truth about Sofia's family, hidden for so many years, was about to transform everything they thought they knew. Mr. Rivera wasn't just any janitor. He was formerly one of the most brilliant software architects in the country, a man who had helped design the security protocols for some of America's most critical infrastructure systems. His work had been so classified that even his colleagues knew him only by code names and project numbers. Years ago, after a family tragedy that forced him to step away from the high-pressure world of corporate cybersecurity, he had chosen the quiet dignity of janitorial work to provide stability for his young daughter. But he had never stopped being a master of code, and during those evening sessions in their small apartment he had passed every secret of his expertise to Sofia. Not just the technical knowledge but the ethical framework that governed how such powerful abilities should be used. He had taught her that with great digital power came the responsibility to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. The CEO, David, and every employee in that room suddenly realized they had been witness to something unprecedented. The janitor's daughter hadn't just fixed a computer virus. She had prevented a cyber catastrophe that could have crippled an entire city. The very person they had underestimated was the reason their company and thousands of Detroit families would still have power that night. Sofia's transformation from an overlooked janitor's daughter to the hero who saved a city was complete, but she didn't need their applause or recognition. Her skills spoke louder than their doubts ever could. CEO Harrison knew that this moment marked the beginning of a new chapter, not just for Sofia, but for the entire company's understanding of talent and potential. This wasn't simply about stopping a cyber attack. It was a lesson in humility, respect, and the power of hidden brilliance. Every person in that room would remember this day for the rest of their careers. They had witnessed how a quiet janitor's daughter shattered every assumption and rewrote the definition of heroism in ways no one could have predicted. Sofia's story was just beginning, but already it had taught them all the most valuable lesson in the modern world. Never underestimate anyone based on their background, and never assume that genius can't emerge from the most unexpected places. The future belonged to those who dared to prove themselves when the stakes were highest, regardless of where they came from. News of Sofia's incredible achievement spread through Detroit's tech community like wildfire. Within hours, the story had exploded across social media platforms, with headlines reading "Janitor's Daughter Saves City from Cyber Attack" and "The Unlikely Hero Who Stopped Digital Disaster." Local news stations were calling for interviews, and tech blogs were analyzing the sophisticated code she had written during the crisis. David, who had witnessed the entire event firsthand, could hardly process what he had seen. In his years as CEO assistant, he had watched many talented professionals solve complex problems, but Sofia's combination of intuitive understanding and technical mastery was unlike anything in his experience. The way she had approached the virus attack, not with panic or conventional methods, but with the calm confidence of someone who truly understood the digital battlefield, had left him in awe. CEO Harrison found himself in a state of deep reflection that lasted well into the evening. The cyber attack hadn't been just any security breach. It was the kind of sophisticated assault that could have destroyed the company and endangered thousands of lives throughout the city. To see it neutralized by the janitor's daughter was nothing short of miraculous. He couldn't ignore the impact Sofia's actions had on company morale, productivity, and their reputation in the industry. Employees who had been demoralized by the attack now walked with renewed pride, inspired by her courage and unmatched ability. Yet beneath his gratitude, Harrison felt a gnawing curiosity. How had Sofia mastered cybersecurity techniques that surpassed those of his highly paid expert team? The question consumed his thoughts, especially after David quietly mentioned the rumors circulating about her father's mysterious background. It was whispered that Mr. Rivera wasn't just a janitor, but someone with a hidden past in the world of advanced software development. A man who had shaped the digital security infrastructure that protected some of America's most vital systems. As the factory resumed normal operations and the city's electrical grid stabilized completely, Sofia quietly returned to her usual tasks. She didn't boast about saving the company and the city, nor did she demand recognition for her extraordinary achievement. Her humility remained as powerful as her technical skills. However, CEO Harrison decided that such incredible talent could no longer be overlooked. The next morning he summoned Sofia to his executive office. She entered with the same calm determination that had defined her during the crisis, unsure of what to expect but ready to face whatever came next. Harrison looked up from his mahogany desk, his expression a mixture of admiration and disbelief. "Sofia," he began, his voice carrying a weight of sincere respect, "I owe you more than just an apology. I underestimated not only your abilities but your character. What you accomplished yesterday didn't just save our company, you protected an entire city from digital catastrophe. I want you to know that your talents are not only needed here, but essential to our future. This company would be honored to have someone like you lead our entire cybersecurity division." Sofia was genuinely surprised by the magnitude of his offer. Throughout her life, she had been the quiet observer, the helper who worked behind the scenes while others received recognition. Now she was being offered the chance to step into a leadership role that would place her at the forefront of corporate cybersecurity. Yet she didn't accept immediately, choosing instead to respond with the same thoughtfulness that had guided her through the crisis. "Thank you, Mr. Harrison," she replied with sincere appreciation. "I'm honored by your offer, but if I accept this position, I want to prove myself not just because of what I can fix, but because I genuinely care about protecting this company, its employees, and the community we serve." Her words resonated with everyone listening, revealing the depth of character that matched her technical brilliance. David, who had been standing quietly near the office door, found himself nodding in agreement. He recognized something truly special in Sofia, a rare combination of extraordinary skill, compassionate heart, and unshakable integrity. Over the following weeks, Sofia threw herself into learning every aspect of the company's digital infrastructure, collaborating with engineers and security specialists while earning respect from everyone she encountered. CEO Harrison's initial skepticism quickly transformed into genuine admiration as he watched Sofia revolutionize their approach to cybersecurity. She wasn't just protecting their systems. She was transforming the entire culture of digital responsibility throughout the organization. Her methods combined cutting-edge technical solutions with an intuitive understanding of human behavior that made their defenses stronger than ever before. 1 month later, an even greater challenge tested Sofia's abilities and the company's faith in her leadership. A coordinated cyber attack, far more sophisticated than the first, targeted not only TechFlow Industries but multiple companies throughout the Midwest simultaneously. This wasn't the work of a single hacker. It was a coordinated assault by an international cybercriminal organization attempting to cripple American industrial infrastructure. Panic spread throughout the business community as company after company reported system failures and data breaches. Government cybersecurity agencies were overwhelmed, and traditional security protocols were proving inadequate against the attackers' advanced methods. Once again, TechFlow Industries found itself at the center of a digital crisis that threatened to expand far beyond their facility. Without hesitation, Sofia stepped forward to face this unprecedented challenge. She examined the new attack with the same steady hands and brilliant mind that had saved them before, but this time the stakes were exponentially higher. Slowly and methodically, she identified the coordinated nature of the assault and began developing a comprehensive defense strategy that could protect not just their company, but potentially serve as a model for other targeted organizations. Working 18-hour days with unwavering focus, Sofia created an innovative counterattack program that could adapt and respond to multiple simultaneous threats. Her solution combined advanced artificial intelligence with human intuition, creating a defense system that could learn from each attack and become stronger with every encounter. When her program successfully repelled the international cyber assault and protected dozens of companies across the region, Sofia's reputation transcended the business world and entered the realm of national security. Government agencies began consulting with her on digital infrastructure protection, and cybersecurity programs at major universities started studying her innovative methodologies. This victory represented far more than technical success. It symbolized Sofia's complete journey from overlooked janitor's daughter to one of America's most brilliant cybersecurity experts. The entire tech industry recognized that her initial judgment had been catastrophically wrong, and that true genius could emerge from the most unexpected circumstances. Sofia's story was no longer just about fixing computer viruses. It had become a testament to breaking barriers and redefining what was possible when talent was recognized and nurtured regardless of background. Every step of her journey served as a lesson in courage, resilience, and the transformative power of believing in oneself and others. As TechFlow Industries thrived under her protection and the tech community embraced her innovations, Sofia's family heritage slowly became public knowledge. Her father, Mr. Rivera, had indeed been one of the country's most respected software architects before choosing a quieter life following personal tragedy. Now his daughter was carrying forward his legacy with pride, determination, and a level of skill that surpassed even his considerable achievements. CEO Harrison and the entire company understood that they were witnessing the beginning of a remarkable career that would influence cybersecurity practices for generations to come. Sofia had transformed from being just the janitor's daughter into a leader, a protector, and a symbol of hope for anyone who had ever been underestimated. The factory that had once buzzed with doubt and division now hummed with energy and confidence, knowing that their digital systems were protected by one of the most brilliant minds in the field. And as the sun set over the Detroit skyline each evening, one truth had become crystal clear. The future belonged to those who dared to rise above their circumstances and use their talents to protect and serve others, regardless of where their journey began. The day Sofia's abilities became undeniable was also the day that changed how the entire industry thought about talent recognition and development. Her influence extended far beyond cybersecurity. She inspired colleagues to believe in themselves and supported others who felt overlooked or underestimated by traditional corporate structures. Today, Sofia serves as Chief Technology Officer at TechFlow Industries, leading a team that protects not only their company but consults with organizations across the nation. Her story continues to inspire countless others who face doubt and discrimination, proving that extraordinary achievements can emerge from the most ordinary beginnings. This incredible journey reminds us all that we should never judge anyone by their background or current circumstances. Hidden talents exist everywhere around us, waiting for the right moment and the right opportunity to change the world. Sofia's transformation from janitor's daughter to cybersecurity hero shows us that greatness isn't about where you start. It's about having the courage to step forward when the moment demands your unique gifts. What did you think of Sofia's amazing story? Like this video if her journey inspired you and comment below about a time when someone surprised you with hidden talents. Subscribe for more incredible stories of people who defied expectations and changed their lives forever. Remember, you never know who around you might be the next hero waiting for their moment to shine.